All right, so welcome to Module 2 of Mastering Content Creation and Mobile Video Editing. So today we're going to be talking about idea generation and research, right? I actually do love this aspect of the course because it's particularly something that I'm interested about, right? I'm really interested in the thrill of generating ideas, and especially because ideas are strongly linked to creativity. One of my favorite quotes about creativity is by Maya Angelou, and she says that the more you can use up creativity, right? The more you use, the more you have. And another famous quote I really love when it comes to creativity is by Albert Einstein. It says, creativity is intelligence having fun. So, when it comes to idea generation, you have to have a creative mindset. If you want to be a content creator or someone who wants to create content that would stand out in the digital space or on the digital space, you have to learn how to tap into your creative sense. And a lot of people have this assumption that, oh, I'm not creative. I don't think I have what it takes to be creative. And voila, that's why I am, I am that is why I'm having this course right now. That's why I'm teaching you about idea generation and research. In this module, we're going to be talking about how you can generate ideas, and my own personal techniques that I use to generate ideas. I'm kind of like a spontaneous person when it comes to idea generation, and I usually do not like to put a cap to my creativity. All right, it helps me to explore more and it helps me to get the juice of what I really want to achieve. So I just dive in, and the more I dive in, the more I'm able to come up with something that is good, something that is refined. All right, that's enough. Let's get right into it. So first of all, let's talk about the power of idea generation, right? Every great content starts with a great idea, right? When it comes to creating content, it starts with um, a thought, right? And then your thought leads into okay, you start with a thought, and then you start having interacting with that thought, and then you start exploring the possibility of making that thought a reality. Ideas are basically strings of thoughts in one's mind, right? When you're having ideas, you can either visualize them, or you can either visualize them in your mind, or you can go right ahead and script them. So, what you want to do as someone who's interested in creating content is that you want to really pay attention to the thoughts that comes to your mind, the ideas that comes to your mind, what is happening in your immediate environment, what is also happening to you. A lot of the great ideas that I've come up with in my life are ideas that came from conscious observation of my environment. I told you that ideas are strongly linked to creativity. So, what that means is that as someone who is interested in fleshing out ideas and putting out ideas that would resonate with your target audience, you have to pay attention to what is happening around you, pay attention to what is happening in your world, in your industry world in this case. Pay attention to, you know, you also need to pay attention to your mind, because you see, when it comes to creating content, your mind is your lab, right? You know what happens in lab. Things are created in lab or in labs. So your mind is your creativity lab where ideas are generated from. So you want to really pay attention. You don't want to be someone who is not given to conscious observation, to someone who is not aligned themselves to, reflect, align themselves to immerse, align themselves to get into that pool of energy that will help you create content that is mind blowing. So, where do these ideas come from? Content creators who succeed are not necessarily the most talented. A lot of times we think that people who are good in the things that they do it because they're probably the best at it. No, we already talked about how consistent practice plays a role in plays a role in helping you becoming good at what you do. But most importantly is that when it comes to idea generations, you get better at generating ideas when you know when you allow yourself to do that consistently. You cannot call yourself a content creator or someone who's interested in content creation if you're not consistently putting out something. And putting out is not, I'm not even talking about the final output. I'm talking about you attempting to always, bring forth to life the ideas that you have in mind. Not every, I tell people, you've not put out your best post yet, you've not put out your best work yet out there, right? But when you have ideas, try to interact with it, try to see how you want to ensure that you see the possibility of that idea coming to life, right? You always want to explore ideas when it comes to creating content. And if you're someone who is deeply immersed in your industry, trust me, you almost like for me now, I run a social media agency. There's no day I don't wake up thinking about how can I help businesses thrive, ideas for my clients. I sleep with that, I wake up with that a lot of time because well, I'm deeply immersed in my work. So if you're someone who wants to create content, you have to be deeply immersed in the art of content creation. So this module will teach you proven brainstorming techniques and how to stay ahead of trends so you never run out of content ideas. So, we are going to be talking about the brainstorming technique. But before we talk about the brainstorming technique, I also just want to again, because I love to demystify, just like I did in the first module, demystify the idea of content creation by defining content. I want you to know that when it comes to you not running out of content ideas, it starts with you allowing yourself to suck. Like, right? You need to allow yourself to be bad at it. A lot of people, for wanting to put out the best all the time, they end up being stuck and they end up not putting anything. If there's any step that that's required of you as someone who is interested in content creation, is that allow yourself to suck at it, allow yourself to to fail at it. And what does that mean is that you can put out your content at first might feel cringe, like you might want when you're watching yourself, you're like, oh my god, you want to probably throw away your mobile phone and whatnot. You need to allow yourself go through that process because it's all part of the process. So if we're talking about some of the techniques like I'm about to share, you have to allow yourself to say that as I'm applying these techniques, I know I'm going to suck at it. I know it's going to be a bit difficult because probably this is something I'm just doing for the first time, or if it's something you've already started doing, and you want to do more intentionally, you have to tell yourself, just accept it that, oh, no, this is not going to be easy, but I'm going to try regardless. Right? I just thought I should share that because it is super important that you allow yourself to fail at something so that in order for you to get better at it. Now, for the brainstorming technique, there's something called mind mapping. Mind mapping helps you expand a single idea into multiple content possibilities, and this is one of like the most effective brainstorming technique that that I use for my clients as well. What I do is that I start with a broad topic in mind, right? So let's talk about personal branding. What I do is that I script out, I write it, whether it's a Google Docs or it's a plain sheet of paper, I put out the word personal branding. Then under personal branding, I try to derive several subtopics on that personal branding. And the more I keep generating subtopics, the more I keep branching out more topics from those subtopics. And before you know, I have like 100 content ideas from just personal branding. And I know you think that that is impossible, but that is the idea of mind mapping. Mind mapping is simply spreading out. It's like a map you are spreading out, and you are literally taking yourself from point A to point Z by exploring and trying to derive the juice from one content topic, right? So example is that if you run a fashion brand, let's say your central topic should be styling tips. From there you can branch into workwear, casual outfits, budget friendly fashion and so on. From just styling tips. So you write it down, styling tips. From styling tips, what else can you talk under styling tips? You'll talk about workwear and casual outfits, how to style a casual outfit in 5 ways. From that, how to style a casual outfit in 5 ways, you can now talk about a specific kind of casual outfit and how you can rock it with this, and then it's a process, right? Probably not the best example, but if you look at what I shared about the personal branding, you can see you would be able. So let's say you are into social media marketing. You can just put out something. about you can just generate a general topic. In this case, we can talk about marketing. Under marketing, what are some things we've done about marketing? Target audience. Under target, you can just keep generating subtopics. And then when you generate those subtopics, remember that those topics, right? You now want to write them out in either in a prose format, or so let's say you generate under personal branding, you generate something like link, because when it comes to personal branding, we can talk about storytelling, we can talk about consistency, or we can talk about communication. So under communication, after you have generated that as a subtopic, you cannot break that communication into sentences. Like you can write something. Yes, how? Okay, under personal branding, we can generate a subtopic on networking. Now remember that's just a subtopic, like I said before. So you can go ahead to say, yes, how I network with other people in my industry, or yes, my networking game plan for 2025, right? And then from generating something like yes, my networking game plan for 2025, you can go ahead and even generate another subtopic that says 5 ways to network effectively, or um, how to network if you're a shy person. You see how you are from one subtopic, you're now deriving sentence topics. You're now from sentence topics, you now know how to now elaborate that sentence topic into a proper content that you can put out. That's the idea of mind mapping, right? And it's something that will require you to sit down and flesh out. This works. This has worked for people that I've recommended. I remember having a client who was saying, oh, she wants to work on her personal branding on LinkedIn. She's this, she's that. And I just said, you know what? I wanted to generate 50 subtopics. Now, when we're done generating 50 subtopics, we now broke down those subtopics into content topics. From content topics, started fleshing out the body of that content. It is that simple. It is what mind mapping is, right? And then another thing that you can do is to using creative prompts, right? This is another way of coming up with content ideas, right? Now, what are creative prompts? Creative prompts are more like statements to help you to be creative, right? It could be a question, it could be a statement or idea designed to inspire creativity and encourage original thinking. So it serves as a starting point for activities like writing, or problem solving. So when you are probably creating content and you are like, okay, what do I want to create? You can start by, you know, just just writing a bunch of statements or questions down, right? So let's say, for example, what a common misconception people have about your industry. You can either generate this creative prompt yourself, or to be honest, you can use tools to help you generate creative prompts, right? So what a common misconception people have about your industry. So I come to realize that a lot of times it's not like people do not know what to talk about or what to create about. It is in the fleshing out. So for instance, a question like what a common misconception people have about your industry. Like that is a prompt that I'm throwing at you right now watching this. Like what's a common misconception? You will find out that this question is a question, but it requires you to think. You would have to pause a little and think, yeah, what's a common misconception people have about my industry? You see what creative prompt does? It helps you to think, it helps you to start, pondering, and helps you to encourage, and it also encourage what's it called, creativity, because now you're not thinking what's that one common misconception. Okay, if you identify the common misconception, the next thing you're not thinking is how do I communicate this. Then before you know, you're already scripting out how you want to communicate that particular idea. So when you don't have when you think that okay, you probably don't have ideas, just start by asking a bunch of questions, right? Or go on Google. I want to also share a hack. You can go on Google and and go on Google and probably I wish I could share my screen right now, but you could just go on Google, for instance. When you go on Google, type, let's say you are let's say you're a content creator or whatnot. What happens is that when you insert some things, when you insert a particular term on Google, what happens is that it also generates questions that other people have been asking. I don't know if, of course, I'm sure some of us interact with Google a lot. Thanks to ChatGPT, it's as though we don't interact with Google that often. But imagine you go to Google, right? When you put out, you're searching for something, what happens is that you see all those questions that pop out. Those questions that pop out on Google are questions that people were already searching for. So that can also give you an idea of what you can talk about in your niche, right? Those questions that people are already asking on Google. Once you search for it, you see they will suggest it to you because they are trying to say, okay, since you're looking for this, you might find this interesting as well. But in reality, those are also questions that most people have actually searched for, right? So that will now give you a clue of, okay, these are questions. Let me build on top of these questions. Then another way for you to, generate ideas is by just watching what other people are doing online. It's one of the simplest and easiest way to do. Look at people in your industry. What are they creating content about? You want to be a content creator? What are other content creators? First of all, what type of content creator do you want to be? Then what are other content creators in your niche actually doing, right? What are other content creators in your niche doing or creating about? That will not give you an idea of what you can start working on, right? Another way you can also generate ideas is by actually doing random stuff. This works for me a whole lot. I mean, some of the ideas I'm sharing right now on idea generation are not written on the screen, but pay attention, right? Is sometimes I get ideas from watching movies, I get ideas from reading. If you're going to be a content creator, you need to know that your mind has to be vast. Or if you want to be into content creation, your mind has to be vast. You have to embrace creativity. And a lot of times, creativity happens in the spur of the moment when your reservoir of knowledge is being triggered. Let me explain that. Sometimes we don't even know how what we watch, the movies we watch, or what we read, what it does to our mind. Sometimes it stores some form of information in the back of our mind, and this could have passed by, and you're just probably doing something, and then you just recall a tiny bit moment from days ago where you're probably engaged in an activity like reading or watching a movie, and then that inspires an action that you want to take at the present moment. So a lot of times ideas come from the things we've done in the past or from the things we've engaged in the past. A movie can inspire you to probably take a particular route when you're creating content. It can probably shape the details of the content you're trying to create. And sometimes you don't even know that it's a movie that you watch that's probably facilitating your processes in that you are currently, that's probably facilitating whatever you are trying to create. But that's what how the mind does. The mind has a way of trapping information. The mind also knows how to trap inspiration. Or if you're deeply inspired by something, the mind knows how to keep it locked in somewhere so that you can always draw from that well of inspiration to do other things. So the four ways I know, brainstorming techniques I know, is by mapping, using creative prompts, right? And creative prompts also helps your writing. And then number three is, watching other people's content. You cannot be a creator and you're not consuming other people's content. The only problem with consuming is that don't over consume and then don't create. That's the only warning that we put out there. But you want to be a creator, you want to be in content creation, you have to watch other people's content. It helps you a lot. In fact, it eases you into the process, right? And then finally, do other extracurricular activities, engage in things that will stimulate your mind so that even when you don't need to create something at that moment, you know that you're consistently engaging your mind in activities that can, trigger creativity at any given time. I said it, that creativity is strongly linked with ideas. You want to be someone who generates ideas on a steady. You have to be someone who embraces creativity. You have to have a curious mentality. You have to have a curious mindset. You have to have practice conscious observation. You have to be mindful, right? So that you can, when you're mindful, you can be full of ideas. When you're mindful, in fact, you would be spontaneous with ideas. Then probably the only struggle you now have to deal with is how do I now create it? But If there's anything you should, and that's what I tell people, if there's anything you should have struggle with is in creating, not idea generation, because the mind has to be a warehouse of ideas and creativity. You have to train yourself to think thoughts that blows your own mind. Like, right, that sometimes I'm amused by my brain, and you have to be amused by my brain. If you don't think that you are creative enough, people are not going to find you creative. If you don't think you are not interesting enough, people are not going to find you interesting. If you don't think that you have what it takes to put out something out there and people will enjoy, then that is exactly what will happen. So the first things first is to embrace your mind and understand that your mind is a lab, and that things, innovations can come out from that place. And when it comes to ideas, it comes in different weird ways. For example, the person who did the law of gravity, right? I think it was an apple that fell on his head, and then voila, a theory is like, you all know the law of gravity now. It's like the most, before you know, he has created a law that has been used for years. The 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 people who created the aeroplane, they came up with that idea by observing birds fly, and they told themselves, if birds could fly, then we can create something that can fly. So you can see how this every innovation that has been done in the past was bettered from the act of conscious observation. You have to pay attention to your surroundings, you have to pay attention to your environment, you have to pay attention to things. Like I said, it comes in very weird ways. But I can tell you that the content creators you love, the people who you are thinking that, oh, this looks so natural, they can just say something and everybody will laugh, or they know how to put out the best skit, or they know how to probably talk into the camera. All these things are done from, first of all, and they have to embrace themselves. They have to tell themselves that they are worth listening to and they are worth reading. So it has to start from your mind. Your mind, you cannot eliminate your mind from your creative process. You cannot eliminate your mind from the content creation process, because what you create is, there's something that I really love when it comes to when okay, this is what I love. When an artist creates an art, all credit goes to the artist. So we can definitely say that that art is a reflection of the artist's mind. So when you realize that every work you are putting out there as someone who is interested in content creation is a reflection of your mind, that should put you on your edge. What that would make you do is that you start paying attention to your mind, you start paying attention to your mindset. In fact, it will even go as far as that you start paying attention to the things you listen to. The way I've been able to stay creative, or the way I am training myself to stay creative, that I'm also paying attention to the thoughts. I don't want to have positive thoughts. I don't want to have negative thoughts. I know you think that this does not matter, but I'm telling you that you, you cannot separate the creation from the creator. You cannot, right? So if you put out, if you there's a way you put out content, and we just know that this is person's mindset, right? So invest in your mindset if you want to be better at coming up with ideas. Invest in your mindset if you want to have better, creativity output. All right. So let's talk about how to identify emerging trends, right? How do you use trends creatively in your content creation journey? Now we're going to start by answering some pertinent questions. What are trends, right? And why do trends matter? So first and foremost, let's define trends from this perspective. Trends are popular creative elements or subject matter or content that is gaining traction within a specific time frame. A lot of times trends do not last forever, but when they are popular, one of the things you want to do is to get on board as soon as possible, so that you are not also upping on trends at a later time. But one of the things that I do tell people is you need to pay attention to the kind of trends that you are opting on. As someone who work with brands a lot, and as someone who, you know, teach content creation, I tell people that you always have to be mindful about the kind of trends that you're opting on, because the trends you're opting on, if it does not align with your brand, if it does not align with your brand messaging, it can actually affect the perception of your brand. It can influence or affect how your audience perceive you as a content creator, or perceive your brand generally, right? So trends are good, but you have to apply caution on the type of trends that you want to upon in your content creation journey. And the good thing about trends is that they come and go. There's always going to be something trending. There's always going to be something new that people are upping on, right? And as much as we always talk about, oh, let's stand out, you don't need to follow the crowd, it's important that when it comes to your content creation journey, you want to actually stay on top of your game by being up to date with what is trending, by being up to date with what is happening on social media, what are people currently talking about, how are things presently being done, what are people currently doing to enhance their content and whatnot. When we're talking about trends, we're not just talking about viral content or a viral skit or a meme that is popular that or a popular meme or something. We're just talking about things that you notice that is gaining a lot of attention, things that a lot of people seem to be upping on. That's basically what trends are, right? So why do trends matter? Number one is that they keep your content relevant and engaging. Remember, you want to always create content that is fresh. You want to also ensure that you're not creating content that you're also growing as a content creator, and people want to see that you're actually up to date. So when you create content and you are probably utilizing a particular trend in your content creation, people will find you interesting. People would find your content relevant because it aligns with probably the popular it's because it aligns with probably what is popular, right? It aligns with probably what a lot of people are talking about, and it is easy to get visibility in that time frame when a particular trend is up, right? In that time frame when a particular trend is up, you want to maximize that to also gain visibility for yourself, right? So remember that trends are popular creative elements or content or probably topics that people are upping on. So it means that any trend you want to leverage is already getting attention. So you want to see, how do I weave this trend into my content such that some of that attention can also come to me. That is how you're probably thinking as a content creator. So it helps boost visibility and audience engagement. Very, very. I've leveraged trends over the years in my client work or even in my own personal content. And I always see the difference. Each time I open a trending audio, each time I talk about a particular subject matter from my own perspective that aligns with my brand, I see the increase in engagement. Each time I share a particular or I up on something that everybody is talking about or everybody is doing, or I decide to tweak my content to look like what everybody seems to be enjoying, it always boosts my visibility and audience engagement. And that is something you want as a content creator or as someone who is heavily invested in their content creation journey. The number three is that it allows you to showcase your creativity within a popular context. So when you have a popular context, when you have a popular subject matter out there, or um, 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 there's a particular slang, right? If you're in Nigeria, we've had many popular buzzwords, right? I think last year was no grief for anybody. That was a popular phrase, no grief for anybody. And if you can remember, anytime when I saw how brands leverage that, and it boosted visibility because what those brands did while by hopping on such a trend is that your audience feel like, oh my god, you're up to date. You're updated. In fact, it has a way of adding a sense of humor to your content. Like your content is not stiff, your content is not boring, your content is able to, utilize what everyone is talking about and still not water down what your brand is about. So if you want to leverage trends, ensure that you're not watering down what your brand is about, but at the same time you're able to tap into what everybody is saying to bring attention to your brand. That is basically it. Remember, when we're talking about trends, we're not just talking about trending audios. We're not just talking about some viral content. We're just talking about what are people saying, what are people doing. It could even be sometimes a trend could just be limited to your niche, right? What are probably people doing in your niche? What ways are people showing up that seems to be appealing to a large number of people. So that is what basically trends are about. Now, when it comes to, you know, a lot of people say, okay, the question that anybody could have in their mind would be, okay, how do I know what's trending? It's very simple, right? First of all, as a content creator, you have to be familiar with your social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Reels, Twitter. Sometimes I don't even need, when I wake up and I want to find out what's happening in the world, I just open my social media. Chances are, if something is trending, you would see it on your social media apps, especially Instagram or even Twitter. You will see it there, right? So when you see that a lot of people seem to be talking about this, whether it's in your niche or generally, know that it is trending. Know that it's a subject matter that is trending, right? Another ways that you want to find out what's trending in your industry is by following industry leaders to stay updated. To stay updated. I do not believe, I strongly advise that if you're someone who wants to take content creators seriously, you have to be comfortable with checking out what your industry leaders are doing or what your industry colleagues are doing, right? Whether you're creating content for a brand or you're doing it professionally, you just need to observe what's happening in your industry, right? By doing so, you are keeping up with trends. By doing so, you are taking active participation in, getting to know what is trending or see what is trending so that you can also, up on it if necessary. Remember, you don't need to up on every single trend. Then another way to find out what's trending is by using free tools. So there are two tools I'm going to recommend beyond what is here. There's Google Trends and there's Answer the Public. And then there's also Google and there's also ChatGPT, right? So you want to up on these tools and ask questions, right? Or look at what they are telling you to see topics that are currently gaining traction worldwide, right? Sometimes you may not be opportune to, get information of what is happening worldwide or what people are generally talking worldwide until you take the extra step to make research about it, right? Because you live in a particular country, the information that you may have on your social media might just be tailored to the algorithm might just bring things that are just specific to your niche or specific to your location as well. So you want to be active and go online to probably make your own research, whether it is Google Trends, whether it is any other tools. Basically, there are many tools that you can use to know what's happening. I mentioned Answer the Public, right? You can find out what your target audience are asking, and those questions they're asking, a lot of people seem to be asking that question. It means that it is gaining traction. It means that if you create content on it, you are most likely going to get massive engagement because a lot of people are probably asking that same question or talking about that particular thing. Then, thirdly, you want to, you know, um, pay attention to community conversations. Pay attention to what your audience is asking, right? Frequently asked questions can be turned into valuable content, like I earlier mentioned. Join Facebook groups, Reddit, Threads, or Quora, related to your content niche. The beautiful thing about checking out these communities is that it just gives you a clear. It's sometimes I up on Reddit, I see what questions people are asking on probably in my own content niche. I check Quora and I'm amazed and I'm like, wow, so you mean a lot of people want to know more about this? And this gives me perspective on what to create. Gives me perspective that if a lot of people are talking about this, then if I create content, what happens is that there's going to be massive engagement, right? So you want to pay attention to the conversations happening in communities. What are a lot of people talking about? To you know to determine or to let you or to give you insight of what is probably trending. Now, how to make trends work for you? I've already emphasized that when it comes to trend, you want to ensure that it is aligned with your brand. You don't want to be up on any trend that will water the percept that will bring down the perception that your target or audience already have about you. So, number one is to personalize it, add your unique voice, branding, or twist, right? Personalize whatever trend you are upping on.
Do not just copy and paste trends or up on trends just like if other people are doing it. You can, give it your own unique touch. Then align it with your niche. Ensure the trend complements your expertise and audience interest. So the best way to act trends in your content creation journey is to ask yourself, does this align with my brand? Does this align with my expertise? And does this also align with my audience interest? Will my audience find this relatable? Right? All of those questions are things you want to ask. Then number three is repurpose it creatively, right? Combine elements from different trends to create something fresh. That is just, a bonus. Then ensure consistency. While trends are great, they should still fit into your overall content strategy. So do not up on trends that will not take you away from, what your brand style is. I think all of these points still boils down to everything I've been saying. Just ensure that the trend you are upping on aligns with your branding, your brand messaging, your expertise, and what your expertise and your audience needs. Your content always have to resonate with your target audience, right? So if you are going to be making use of any trend, you need to ask yourself if your audience would like this. So an example of trend adaptation is probably a finance creator using trending audios to explain budgeting tips. We see how upping on trending audios can actually boost visibility, and one of it is that yeah, let's take for example music artists. When they put out a song, you see them creating some form of you see them pushing for their audios to be used. You see if you go on TikTok, you see a lot of people creating trending audios, and they keep asking that more people use it, because the more you use those trending audios, it is the more you use those audios, the more the chance it will get for it to become trending. And the more it becomes trending, what happens is that other people can up on to use that to gain visibility for themselves. So trending audios are also one of the ways to actually, go viral or increase engagement generally. Then a fashion influencer can take part in viral outfit transformation challenges. I remember in 2020 there were lots of trends that people created on social media. A lot of challenges rather. I remember that there was this challenge. I may have forgotten about it. I may have forgotten it right now, but just think back. There were a lot of challenges that were happening, and there are still a lot of social media challenges that are happening right now to ensure that are happening right now that are trending, right? You want to really really you know, look within your niche and ask how do I use probably up on this challenge and see how it will work for my brand, right? So another example of trend adaptation is a digital marketer leveraging carousel trends on Instagram for storytelling. If there's anything I've noticed in my niche is that storytelling is gaining more ground, and people seem to create carousels with doodling effect. It seems to me as a trend, because everywhere I face, I'm seeing that people are creating carousels that are fun and engaging and has doodling effect. If you don't know what a doodling effect is, you can just go on Canva, right? Or go or just dive more into to know more about that. But I do see that a lot. People use doodles in their carousels, and it's really appealing to the eyes, right? Like it's when you see those carousels, you're like you end up stopping to just view, to read, to swipe. It's amazing, and I see a lot of people doing it, so it has to be a trend. Then, finally, I want you to know that generating ideas doesn't have to be overwhelming when you have a system in place. Remember our famous quote that you cannot use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. And that is a mindset that you need to embrace if, as a content creator. You want to be able to know that, you can come up with with amazing ideas that that people would love, right? You can create ideas that are amazing. So the more you keep creating, the more it becomes a habit, not a struggle. So here's what to remember generally from this model. Number one, use mind mapping and prompts to break past creative blocks. Beyond mind mapping and creative prompt, I shared other ways, right? Those things help a whole lot. Then number two is stay ahead of trends by observing, not just consuming, right? Every time I'm scrolling on social media, I'm very intentional with my scrolling. I'm looking at content that would, probably inspire me, right? Do not be the goal, especially for those who register for this class. I'm sure you're tired of consuming content. You're ready to begin your content creation journey. That is why you are here, right? You're ready to begin your content creation journey. So for those who registered, right? It means that you're deciding that I don't just want to be a consumer. I want to be someone who creates actively online. So remember, the more you create, the more you get better. So stay ahead of trend by observing. As you are consuming content, you're also observing certain things that you can learn and also employ your content strategy as well. Then number four is leverage TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest for ongoing inspiration. If you want to stay inspired, if I want to stay inspired, I just go watch my mentor videos, right? Someone who mentors me in my niche, that also creates content, or I want to, watch what other people are creating online to have what inspiration. So these are some of the important things you need to pay attention to as someone who is invested in their content creation journey. You want to make sure that you know how to make trends work for you, and you also now see the importance of leveraging trends for your building, uh, of leveraging trends for your content creation journey. So that would be it. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. If you have any questions, feel free to drop in the comment session, or in the group session rather. Thank you.